Hey, Satanico here once again for God Loves Comics, and yet another comic book haul video, and this is going to be mostly a Bronze Age lot, which is of course right up my alley. So various lots, various comics I bought, probably over the past couple of months. Still only a handful of comics, but let's get right to it. Right off the bat, yes, this is the first time I'm seeing this in person. I just took it out of the package, but I did not open it. And it is this beautiful copy. I mean, he's got it listed as very fine for 20 bucks. This is this beautiful copy of Hulk 177, and this is actually a comic I don't usually buy based on nostalgia too often, but this is a case where this is a comic I actually owned as a kid, and I still own it. I still have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. I know it's beat up. But I always loved this comic. This may have been the first, I'm sure it's the first Hulk comic I ever bought. And I bought it because I thought Warlock looked really cool on the cover. And even though I couldn't understand how these two could be wrestling when the Hulk is just this massive ball of green muscle and Warlock looks relatively small by comparison. But I picked this up. This has also become something I think of, some sort of key, because of the death of Warlock and because I guess a lot of rumors of Warlock kind of entering the MCU. So that's always what's behind all of these keys and speculation, everything else, which I would only know based on either a rapid increase in price or because of videos that I watch. And in this case, I just really wanted it out of nostalgia, and then of course if it's a key, that's great too. And I got it for a really great price. There were a lot of bids on this. This guy had one of those listings with a lot of comics, and so there were a lot of views and a lot of people bidding, and I really thought this was going to go much higher than it did. But I got this for $9.07, and it actually looks even better in person. Of course, it's in the bag, but it looks better in person than it did on screen. There's this one little nick on the Hulk's shoulder there, but other than that, it looks really great, especially with this white background. And by the way, if you notice the number 177, look how close I was. How close I was to one of the ultimate Bronze Age grails and, you know, becoming Richie Rich. Hulk 180 and specifically 181 were just a few months away. I never remember seeing them. I wasn't really a Hulk collector or Hulk buyer. I bought it for Warlock. I was just a little kid, and but man, it still sucks. It's just like Giant Size X-Men #1 and Uncanny X-Men 94. Never saw those on the stands, but I saw 100 and bought that as a kid. And I picked up from the same little batch Hulk 178, and it is absolutely beautiful as well. He's got this, it's very fine. He was selling it for $35. So I got this one for $10.48. So 9 and 10 bucks, 20 bucks plus whatever shipping was, I don't remember. I think it was relatively cheap, and tax. Really a good buy. Very happy. Herb Trimpe, who was actually great at drawing the Hulk. Sometimes I didn't like his stuff, you know, but I still, deep down, I pretty much really enjoyed him on the Hulk, and I really like these characters and the design, and they played a really good role. I don't know, that's not profound to say a really good role, but just as a kid, it was pretty exciting to see these sort of beast-like characters, sort of Island of Dr. Moreau style characters. So, very happy to have these, and get them for a really great price. I've been looking at this one for a while. I suddenly just got a wild hair that, Hulk 177, maybe I should pick that up, you know. It does have a little scratch there too. That's really minor flaws, and then just a little bit of a spine roll, few minor ticks, but what a beautiful copy. Most of the ones that I saw online were priced much higher and in much worse condition, and so I was really lucky to win these in auction. So very happy with those two. And let's move on. This is a 10-issue lot, and I just want to mention this guy. I think this came from Evansville, Indiana. What a thoughtful packaging. You know, most of the time I'm complaining about people putting tape all over the package, and it's so difficult to get into, and you know, and it tears the bags and everything else. Using this kind of electrical tape, works really well, and he actually put it where he put this little bend in it, or this little fold, so that there's not a sticky part here, and had them on all the corners, so it's so easy to take off, and it's so much appreciated, the thought that he put into it. When I leave feedback, I will definitely mention great seller and very thoughtful packaging, especially because I got this so cheap. Let's see what we have here, because I don't know the individual issues actually, but there we go. It is a lot of 10 Daredevils, and I primarily got them because I just wanted a mix. Not all of these are not all of these are John Romita Jr., but I think almost all of them have Al Williamson inks, including this one. KMD. Not quite sure. I don't know. I'm sure the name will ring a bell. If I actually saw the name, I could identify the name to correlate with the initials, but I'm not quite sure. But Al Williamson, still beautiful cover. You can kind of see his hand. I'm a huge Al Williamson fan, and but I don't have that many of these Daredevil issues. 10 issues for $10.50. Can't beat that. Great cover here, Bullseye. And that, again, is KD. I'm going to kick myself for not knowing who KD is. I'm sure I do. It's just I'm trying to... maybe it'll come to me. Okay, and this is an artist I'm not particularly familiar with, but I know his name, Lee Weeks. And there's Al Williamson again. This one actually is FF. So that is not Al Williamson, but this is Lee Weeks. I'm hoping that I got more Romita Jr. in here. But this is Lee Weeks and Williamson also. So maybe that's why it was $10.50. But still, nice covers. And like I said, love Al Williamson's work, regardless. This is Weeks and Williamson again. Same, $2.85. $2.84. And down to the last three. I'm starting to realize that I got a mostly Lee Weeks group, but again, for the price, and I'm sure, again, this was an auction, but for the price, 10 issues for basically $1 a piece. Can't go wrong. Pretty sure that's Weeks again. Looks like it. And Williamson, but not seeing the initials on there. $2.83. And then this is $2.82. Finally, John Romita Jr. Oh, okay. These are the two that kind of caught my eye. $2.82. Beautiful cover. Pretty cool. Very strange. Bordering on abstract. Abstract drawing almost of the Silver Surfer and of this creature that Daredevil is fighting, this massive creature. Love that kind of stuff. Love this kind of stuff coming from John Romita Jr. and his collaboration with Al Williamson. It's very unexpected that Al Williamson would pop up on these and be an inker for John Romita Jr., but I really actually love that collaboration. I think it's It doesn't look like standard mainstream comics at all, and I think it's really interesting and incredibly underrated. I think Frank Miller's run, although it was pretty amazing for its time period, and you can't understate how important it was for the time period, I think can be overrated, especially in terms of the writing and the art, for that matter. Still exciting to look at, but I think Romita Jr.'s run, from what little I've seen of it, and I have seen a few issues, is underrated. And here again is 281. So these two caught my eye, and I really wanted those. And then because I think it was a 10-issue lot, so I don't think they were individually. Yeah, I'm sure. And so I tossed those in with the Weeks and Williamson, but these were the two covers that I really was interested in. Loved the drawing of Daredevil, you know, being accosted, overwhelmed by these bizarre, again, somewhat abstract creatures. Really interesting stuff, actually, from JR and Williamson. So very happy to have that. $10.50. Great buy. And, okay, I'm not even sure what this, oh, okay, now I know what this is. Wow, this is very cool. So this is coming out of this little box, and this seller has given me some bonus books, just out of the goodness of his heart. Really nice of him. And pretty cool bonus books as well. Doc Savage #8, that is a Bronze Age comic. That looks cool. And that is a Rich Buckler and Klaus Janson. It's funny that we just looked at 10 Daredevils, and there is no Klaus Janson. And then a bonus book is Klaus Janson's inks. I'm not the biggest Klaus Janson fan, by the way. Wow, okay, Fantasy Masterpieces. It's a reprint. I have a few of the Fantasy Masterpiece of early Silver Surfer, but still, super nice of him to do that. And of course, that's John Buscema and Heir of Frankenstein. Very cool. I don't remember who inked Buscema on this. Was it Vinnie Coletta? Or did Buscema ink himself? And as you can see, the main attraction. Yeah. It's actually, I was wondering, actually, as you can see there, Stan Lee and John Buscema. Oh, Sal Buscema embellishment. Okay, I didn't realize that. I didn't know Sal was inking John on Silver Surfer. Pretty cool. And again, it's hard to say that John Buscema's work was underrated on Silver Surfer, but sometimes he doesn't seem to get, he certainly doesn't get as much applause and praise, I should say, as Kirby. But obviously, as a craftsman, as a technician, I mean, just an amazing craftsman. Joe Kubert, John Buscema, obviously Gil Kane's in there as well, Kirby, but these are guys that just incredible at what they did. Anyway, really nice. This will be nice to just look at the art again. I don't know if I have this one. I've got a couple of the Fantasy Masterpieces. And then this is the most expensive book in this lot for sure. This is Star Wars 43. I'm starting to hoard these for some reason. This is one, and this is Al Williamson as well, of course. Beautiful copy. Beautiful copy. Cost me $71. It's crazy because I think before the pandemic started, or sometimes during the pandemic, I bought a 10-issue lot of Star Wars that included this one and 44 or 40 or something like that for $30. And then I subsequently sold this issue for $70, which, and I still have the other 9 issues. Now I'm actually buying single copies. I paid $100 and $7 for a copy that was probably very fine and near mint, and now I'm paying $71 for this one, which is actually a good buy. First Lando, not First Lando, yeah, First Lando, and yeah, and beautiful Al Williamson, Carlos Garzón art. Excuse me. And there will be more Star Wars. And this is the irony of this. I said, well, that's the most expensive single issue. But then, the most expensive of all of these, in terms of the lot, is this. And it was the poorest packaging. The Daredevil lot, which is 10 copies, $10.50, packaged in Gemini mailer, with the blue tape bent back nicely so it was easy to peel off. Very secure. Everything very secure. Then the most expensive lot just comes in a Ziploc bag, a box so secure, no backing boards, and just some paper. So, congratulations. And this lot, I say 10 issues. It was 8 issues, cost $104. I do believe this is going to have a couple of Empire Strikes Back issues in it. That amazing run by Williamson and Carlos Garzón was from Star Wars 39 to Star Wars 44. I loved it just because of the art, but of course now it's become hugely expensive in certain issues because of first Boba Fett, first Lando, Yoda, etc., etc. Yeah, Andy just put a sticky note right on the cover. Great. Yeah, and it did leave an glue residue. I'll tell you this. I can live with that. The condition is still really nice. Hopefully I can remove this little, I can just feel it, and it's so obnoxious to feel that tacky surface on a beautiful comic. If this had been on 43 or 40, I would be livid inside. Okay, 52. And I think most of these are Carmine Infantino, which was not my favorite. I love Carmine. I've grown to really appreciate his work subsequently. Infantino and Walt Simonson. Or Simonson. And actually this splash page is really nice. You can see Infantino and Simonson. Chris Claremont. So this was after Archie Goodwin had given up the reins. I think he did in issue 50, which also was Al Williamson. I think that was his goodbye to Star Wars. And, yeah, I didn't love Carmine Infantino's early work in here. I certainly liked it more than Howard Chaykin's, who was really just phoning it in. But, yeah. But I appreciate Carmine a lot more. I mean, I think his Flash work is amazing, beautiful, and a lot of his other stuff in the past. And this is a Walt Simonson cover. I think it's a pretty cool cover, but still, I didn't think it was, I wouldn't have been surprised. And this is Walt Simonson penciler and Tom Palmer inks, and David Michelini, one of my favorite writers from that time. Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief. But this was a period where, even though that's a pretty good page, but this is a period when Simonson wasn't doing his, he wasn't really going out on a limb as he did on on Thor, and hadn't really developed a style, even though this is pretty nice work. But it still isn't the very idiosyncratic, freewheeling, do what he wants to do style, because he's still working under kind of the limitations of Lucasfilms. But this is pretty good. I've got an early, I think number 16, that's Simonson. I like that. Okay, this is one of the big keys. I'm sorry, this is, I don't have 43 in here. I think I have 41, and this is a big key as well. And beautiful issue. Just got the spine roll, which is a little bit frustrating, but that can be pressed out. I mean, I've never used press, but I might even be able to just sit some heavy books on it. Beautiful work inside as well. I've got a couple of copies of these. I've got a couple of copies of 40, which I've always loved. Almost looks trimmed at the top. I think I saw that in the first place. And then it's got a little shoe. That's really frustrating. I remember seeing this, though. I forgot about it, but I remember seeing this shoe here. Normally this is kind of called bug shoe, and maybe it is bug shoe or rat shoe, which is disgusting. But maybe it's, yeah, I don't know. That seems quite likely. Actually, I can't think of anything else that would have done this on both corners like that, but frustrating because the rest of the issue is really beautiful. I mean, beautiful. The spine is almost tick-free. Everything's nice. I don't think this was trimmed. I just think, you know, by anyone else. I think it was just the way it was trimmed by the printer. But, man, that does some damage right there in the corner. 38. I have at least 2 or 3 copies of this. The beautiful Michael Golden issue that with Terry Austin. I think, yeah, this is still Archie Goodwin too. Chris Claremont not involved. And, yeah, stunning issue. Beautiful. One of the most beautiful. I would say this, and I've always said this actually, this issue and the Al Williamson issues. And, of course, Al Williamson also did the adaptation of Return of the Jedi. The most beautiful issues in the entire run. This is back to Carmine Infantino. I've actually got a copy of this. See a little bit of Carmine's own idiosyncratic work. That's actually nice now. I mean, I didn't like it. It was a little, just kind of, you know, kind of his interpretations of the characters didn't really look like anybody in the films, and kind of goofy expressions and everything, but I appreciate it much more now. Still, I mean, it looks odd, but now odd is good. 36, I never owned this one, and this is actually, again, Infantino and Bob Wycheck. Infantino and Gene Day inside. Beautiful drawing here. Gene Day, great late grade inker, and penciler, primarily known for Master of Kung Fu. Did a lot of work, including work on Star Wars, including the very famous cover for issue 68 with the bounty hunter. I thought it was Boba Fett all along, but then I read, oh, that's not Boba Fett, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to it. I love the cover, but I love Gene Day. And this is Carmine Infantino and Gene Day as well. Dark Lord's Gambit. I can tell Gene Day's hand here. I can still see Carmine's pencils and his style, but you can see how heavily inked and detailed Gene Day. Gene Day's kind of, you know, he goes hard, man. He went too hard, really. I feel like he burned himself out. But I've heard mixed things I remember reading on what happened to Gene Day. On one hand, I heard something that he died at his drawing board. You know, he was working too hard. He was working 16 hours a day every day or something. But then I also heard that he got hit by a car in Canada, so I really need to research that better to find out the facts. I think I remember reading both accounts, and obviously they're so incredibly different. Maybe someone was just talking metaphorically that he burned himself out or he wore himself out, or was killing himself from overworking. Maybe that's what they said. It was a long time ago that I read that, but it was very sad to hear about Gene Day's demise, premature demise to say the least, in his 30s, I do believe. But that is the latest comic book haul. I've already dragged on too long. 25 minutes. That's me. But creme de la creme is Star Wars 43, and I love this pair of Hulks as well. Beautiful covers, beautiful copies, and of course JR, and Al Williamson, and all the rest. Thanks very much for watching. Please feel free to comment. What were your favorites? Were the prices outrageous? Were they good buys? Whatever. What have you gotten lately? Whatever. I'd love to hear some comments. And subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends to subscribe if they haven't already. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you next time on God Loves Comics.